Oh, Marlon, I was watching the Burnt Peanut last night. That dude is a fucking trip. I love. He's
This
hilarious.
dude, dude is hilarious.
He's
He's like
very
my new
funny.
favorite Tarkov streamer, honestly.
All right. We're getting back in there. Project Hail Mary. Chapter 11. We got pages 185 through 197. Rylan wakes up from his 2-hour power nap and heads back to the tunnel. Rocky has made an airlock within their airlock so they can pass things back and forth. Rylan sends over a tape measurer so they can discuss units of length. Rocky ends up playing with it and is unable to follow visual cues involving flat print, causing Rylan to realize Rocky is blind. Rocky senses the world through astute hearing. We flash back to Strat being in court as a courtesy to show she is not legally accountable for anything and has a preemptive pardon from the US president as well as international immunity. A bunch of companies are trying to sue her for compiling a bunch of copywritten software, and she simply doesn't have time for it. Back in the present, Ryland has located waveform analysis software, and he intends to use it to describe and learn Iridianese. Rocky is not responding to Ryland's calls for him, and Ryland assumes he is sleeping, something Ryland is also severely lacking. He leaves a note for Rocky saying he'll return in 8 hours. Amarillo, what question do you bring?
My question actually has to do with the flashback and the trial or attempted one with Strat. Did we feel like that was necessary?
No.
Like, do you actually
No.
feel like that was like would have been realistic to have going on? Like,
I mean, we
Realistic.
literally just had this drama about meta pirating, like,
yeah.
and it looks like they're not gonna like get anything for it. So I
Yeah.
think the pardons were a little much, but apparently she doesn't need them.
Yep. Yeah. Like it was the first part in this entire book that I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, Andy, I don't think we need this. I think we need more about Rocky.
You know,
It
Yeah.
almost kind of felt like a little stab against copyright.
A little
Yeah.
bit.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Considering the real life stuff he uses in his books, it seems like that could be could have been a problem for him at some point.
Yeah.
I wrote a bullet point that says, very real that rich business people are trying to capitalize off a project to save humanity.
Yeah.
That feels
that part is
accurate.
very real.
yeah.
I was
But-
like, it would just be like the American justice system to fucking have all these rich people trying to
The world's
make
ending.
a buck or like
I need
argue
this money
about
now.
this.
Yeah, but
bureaucratic
my
shit.
my stocks.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I did kind of like that part where she was like, "Well,
But the
you know,
shareholders.
was it at the end of this chapter? I think it was at this. I think it was after the trial in this chapter where she's just like, I mean, they're probably going to kill me after Project Hail Mary launches, so like YOLO, I guess."
Yeah. I think
Basically.
yeah, it's a couple of chapters away, but I did appreciate the line of like, you and what army? Because I have the US Army.
Mm-hmm.
And they're pretty good.
Speaking of the U.S. Army, I'm just like, I can't believe I fucking tricked myself into joining the goddamn army.
Oh my god.
Got him.
Okay, so the way that I thought it would work was that I would be an employee of the DoD who happened to be stationed on an army base. But no, I am straight up a member of the army, apparently.
Well, at least you probably won't get fired. Oh.
Oh, wait.
R.I.P.
We'll see
Well,
about
hopefully
that.
not. Knock on wood. Where's
Yeah.
the wood?
I don't think I will
it.
be first, if that's any consolation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
We take our wins when we can get them.
Yep. But overall, I really like learning more about Rocky and how his shit works, and like I wanted more of that, and I felt like a page and a half, or is it 2.5? Damn, it was like, yeah, it was like 2.5 pages worth. It was just like, why are we talking about copyright policy?
Building up the pool, the suspense.
Yes.
I thought it was.
I
I
mean,
thought
I
it was
do like
interesting. I feel like it could make sense, but and also it's just like
I mean,
yeah, like
even
people
if
trying to
it's not
capitalize.
Mhm.
super relevant to like the fact that, they're already there. It's I guess it's nice to kind of see like the lead up to the launch.
Hmm.
I do very much appreciate like that aspect of it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like obviously he could not have predicted the whole thing with Meta and the books back in like I think this
Yeah.
came out in
2021.
2021. This was
Yeah.
one of the books they pirated.
Oh my god, the irony.
Nah.
I mean, well, with just the sheer I don't remember how many it was, but it was basically like literally
You know?
it's just so many books, this one was one of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Considering the I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, please, by all means.
No, just the time frame of it coming out. I know books take a while to write, but I wonder if there was a juxtaposition to the COVID epidemic,
Uh,
considering this is like a microbe and
Hmm.
causing a worldwide panic type of thing. I wonder if there
Yeah.
was some type of relation to
So
that.
I remember when COVID, like the lockdown first happened, the Internet Archive, so they have a lending library, and it works like most libraries, Libby, where they have so many copies, and then only that many copies can be checked out at a time. Well, and this was something I think was honestly kind of stupid on their part because I don't think it was ever going to end well.
Mhm.
They go, well, we're just going to, have unlimited lends and unlimited borrows per book. So none of this, we only have 3 copies and can only lend out of 3 at a time. Anybody, people can borrow an unlimited amount, or these books have unlimited amounts of copies to borrow because the libraries around the world are all closed down, which means a copy of this book exists in a library, which means it's not piracy or whatever.
And business people
And
did
it's
not like
like
this.
they did not.
Hmm.
They lost. And by they I mean the Internet Archive.
So,
But
so Project Hail Mary came out in 2021, and
Mhm.
I do think it's interesting to bring up the pandemic, and I wonder if some of the isolation
Mhm.
involved in that inspired
Yeah.
um any of the environment of the book.
How
Mm-hmm.
Ryland reacts and
Mm-hmm.
things like that.
I can see the relation now, knowing I didn't realize what year this book came out, but it seems like, seems relevant for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I did enjoy him actually like starting to put together a translator
Hmm.
to understand Eurydian.
Very smart way of doing it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I like how they explained that because obviously in like modern technology we struggle to make like live translators or whatever like that, but
Hmm.
because Rocky speaks in chords, it's much easier
At
and
least yeah.
doable.
Yeah.
So that's how he kind
Hmm.
of logicked it. And I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. There's only so many, etc. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 They're like syllable or not syllables, but like, vowels or
Phonetics.
like
Yeah.
phonetics, exactly.
Yep.
So the chord thing actually reminds me, like when I was reading that, I thought of I don't know if you guys have ever heard of like Mongolian throat singing, where they can like make
Yes.
multiple notes at
Wow.
once. I
Yeah.
literally tried to do that for like a few minutes, and I was like, all right, that's enough of that.
It's like, all right, well, let's continue on.
It's hard. It's like you gotta
It's
like
very difficult.
you gotta like make your throat really wide. You're like like the bottom note, and then like the top one is like up in your nose or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it
Marlon's
takes a
pretty
lot
good
of
at
breath
that.
control.
Oh yeah, that's on his resume. His area expertise.
if the
Couple of
Who
whale
has
calls.
no fans, then I
mhm.
am dead.
All right. Any other thoughts, comments on chapter 11?
Nope.
All right. We carry on to chapter 12, page 198 to 213. So, Ryland accidentally oversleeps by 2+ hours, and Rocky is not pleased and clenches his fist. Ryland apologizes, and the pair set off to translating Iridianese, starting with numbers. They continue for hours and accrue several thousand words. Rocky seems to just be instantly memorizing everything, perhaps because sound is his most important sense. Ryland finds out Rocky has also traveled there because of the astrophage causing problems in his home solar system. Ryland tells Rocky he needs to sleep, and Rocky insists on observing him. Ryland relocates his bedding to the tunnel and drifts off as Rocky works on some repairs. Over the next few days, they continue expanding language. Ryland wants to establish how to communicate about mass. Rocky sends over a metal ball and says it is 26. This confuses Ryland, and Rocky rushes off to get something to help, but Ryland has his own idea. He scurries off to make a basic centrifuge with a scale and a known amount of water to counterbalance. He determines the ball is about 325 grams and goes back to Rocky. Rocky balls a fist at him and says, "You left! Bad!" Rocky sends a 26 beaded string over, and Ryland understands that the material of the ball was pure iron, which weighs 328.25 grams. It is time for Rocky to sleep, and he insists Ryland observes. Ryland is a little annoyed and tells Rocky to have other Iridians watch him. Rocky reveals he's the only survivor on his ship. They comfort each other by acknowledging the badness of it all, and Ryland agrees to watch him sleep. Kel, what is your question?
I had a few questions that all ended up being answered
Oh,
in later chapters.
that's all
So
right.
the first one I was like, why do you think he's so insistent on watching each other sleep?
W-
Which we found out
Yeah.
because they don't know how to wake up on their own.
Well, I think
essentially.
it's because they're like paralyzed. Yeah, like they're paralyzed
Yeah.
when they sleep, and like we, if we're startled, can wake up, but Iridians cannot. When
They
I
never developed that. That's wild.
Yeah, when I read this part, I was thinking it's just, some part of him being a
Cultural.
social animal, because
Yeah.
I think, they're social animals, we're social animals, but yeah.
Yeah, I was also gonna ask, how did everyone think Rocky's crew died? But we found out it was radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Something
Okay.
I was thinking was, do you think there's any sounds that Rocky can emit that can't be picked up
Hmm.
by the computer or by him?
Oh, definitely.
I imagine so.
As human language works that way. Because, like, okay, you grow up and you only know, like, American English or whatever, and then there will be sounds in, say, like, Hindi that you straight up cannot hear or distinguish from other sounds just because you did not grow up hearing it.
Yeah.
Like the same nuances
Like, they've
and
got some
things.
kind of, like, special TH kind of sound that's
Mm-hmm.
different from a regular or whatever.
It's like the Aborigines and their clicking sounds and
Mm-hmm.
throat sounds and
Mm-hmm.
stuff that most people can't do, but they
Mhm.
do it naturally in their language.
With Kel, with your question about, what happened to Rocky's crew, was anyone worried that Rocky killed them all due to space psychosis?
Fuck.
Because they spent a
No.
lot of time establishing space psychosis is a concern. So much so we
you
got to
make
put
a fair
everyone
point. I
in
can
a
understand
coma.
the leap in logic there.
So
Yeah.
Iridians are more
so part of
mentally stable than humans.
or maybe there
Okay.
was enough of them and there was enough space as well. It's a bigger ship,
Yeah,
more
their ship is
Yeah.
space,
huge, so
and
they
they're
are
smaller. Yeah. But for a moment I was like, "Oh fuck, I really hope Rocky doesn't turn out
Isn't
to
some sort of like alien psychopath?
Yeah, he like somehow managed to kill 23 other like what the fuck?"
I
Yeah.
kill,
Technically, we're
drink
still
blood.
going off his word.
I think my brain refuses to see golden retriever sized rock spiders as bad. So I was thinking more of like a thing situation where there's like a space monster coming after them.
Mm.
Like Among
Oh,
Us.
yeah.
Oh, God.
Yep.
I was surprised by the radiation answer though, but he also explains the
Yeah.
radiation thing later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for him.
Yeah, I actually teared up when he
Me
Yeah.
too.
talked about losing
Yeah.
This
his
one
whole
got to
crew.
me. Like in 2 different places, this one actually got to me.
He's like
Yup.
super friendly and nice and wants to like learn, and then he lost all the people, quote unquote people, he cared about in this trip, the
Yeah.
same way that Grace did.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's really
It was so sad.
kindred spirits in their loss and their search
Yeah.
of saving their fucking
Let's
wonder
world.
save our
how-
tears. Save our tears for the correct chapter, okay?
One thing that I
Oh
don't.
god.
I wonder. Oh wait, yeah, that's. I wonder how long ago they died because I don't think that's mentioned.
Yeah, it's not. Maybe it'll come up later. Wait, no, it is. It is mentioned.
It's
How long
I,
he's
I
been
know they
alone.
mentioned like how they oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Alright, yeah. I was like, was it do they just go into how long like the trip has taken or how long he's been alone? But yeah,
How
I
long
think
the
it,
trip is?
yeah. We will find out.
Mhm.
Whenever in this chapter, they start basically perma doing these tunnel sleepovers. Did anyone else get like the warm fuzzies? Just like that
Yeah.
that they're not alone.
They're not alone
Yeah.
anymore.
So cute. Honestly,
Mhm.
so cute. Whenever watching people sleep comes up, I think of Twilight. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, thank you.
I can't help
I
it.
can smell
It's
her
just
blood
like, oh
from
man.
here.
All right, Edward. Chill out.
Exactly.
Yep.
You're
Just
the one
starts
who
writing
made me
notes
read
and
that book too, I think. So it's all your fault.
Listen, okay? You're welcome.
fucking Rocky writing notes when Grace farts in his sleep.
Oh
Oh my
god.
He's like,
god.
oh, what is that? He's talking to me.
And the
New friend makes
never mind, we've got this budding relationship between Rocky and Ryland, and the nanny robots just hung out to dry. I guess.
Yeah.
What the
Nanny
hell,
robot's cucked at
Ryland?
this point, so
Yeah.
I
I
thought we had something special.
watch the fucking nanny robot's gonna be the final end boss.
Oh god. You
mean,
son of
foreign
a
object
bitch.
on ship.
Did our vows mean nothing?
I
God.
cleaned you for 4 years.
I wiped your ass. All right. Any other thoughts on chapter 12? Thoughts, comments?
Fuck ton of warm fuzzies.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a
Yes.
very sweet chapter. Sad,
Yeah.
sweet.
Mhm. Okay. We go on to chapter 13, pages 214 to 231. We start with a flashback of the recruitment of an admonished and imprisoned engineer named Dr. Robert Riddell. He had emailed them an idea for enriching astrophage. He explains it to Strat and Ryland and how he'd use the Sahara Desert, and they decide to take him on. Back to the present, and Ryland has decided they have a wide enough vocabulary to discuss the astrophage problem more. Rocky reveals his people will die if he can't figure out the astrophage problem. Rocky's original crew died of a mysterious illness affecting all their cells. Ryland realizes it was probably radiation poisoning and that Rocky's species had not discovered radiation. Another flashback takes us to a discussion between Dr. Locken and Ryland. They historically do not like each other. She is telling him about a paper being published the following week on how astrophages store energy. In short, the energy absorbed by the astrophage creates an environment where protons can slam into each other and produce pairs of neutrinos. Later, these neutrinos collide and produce light energy, i.e., the Petrova wavelength. Astrophage's storage of neutrinos also makes them a radiation sink, and Locken wants Ryland to use it to protect the Project Hail Mary's crew from radiation. He tells her it's genius, and Locken smiles and looks away. Adrian, what is your question?
Well, my question kind of actually got framed in the last sentence of this chapter, but, and I know we discover more about it later, but was it a big surprise that a spacefaring race did not know what radiation was initially finding that out, and that, his crew was completely lost to an unknown element that they had no idea about, being radiation? That was a big surprise to me, because you would think that's a normal, something normal you learn about when attempting space travel. But it seems like they developed space travel very quickly just to investigate this issue. So
I
yeah,
I was surprised, but also the more I thought about it, I wasn't because
Like it
they don't
kind yeah, go ahead.
see. And so
yeah,
all the things that humans have, discovered from seeing things, noticing things,
mhm,
why is that shit
Perceptions
glowing in
and
the dark? Oh shit, it's
that should probably not get
irradiated.
me then.
yeah,
All these different things that depend on having a sensory organ that can sense
yeah,
photons, and they just don't have it. Um,
Yeah.
mhm,
combined with it might be later when they go into the details, I think, of Rocky's home planet, but yeah, just they weren't exposed to it
mhm,
on their planet, and that combined with just not being able to see, it's like they wouldn't be able to
yeah,
appreciate that that was happening or that that
mhm,
existed. But I thought it was super interesting writing to plant something like that. I really
yeah,
liked that.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate example of you are shaped by your environment.
yeah,
And when you get out of that environment and exposed to the wild shit that happens, say, in like space, like you either live or you survive to learn from it. And like,
mhm,
But
yeah,
surely
it's
they've been to space before because they do have astrophages of fuel. So unless like
They hadn't.
They
Not into
seem
I
deep
I
think
know
that
that
they
okay,
had
space.
like
I know they said they hadn't, but they use
they had
astrophages fuel.
they
So
have a
unless the
space elevator.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I think the way that it goes into the details, like in
Mm-hmm.
a later chapter, I think we're going to cover where it talks about how the magnetic pull with how close they are to their sun and
mhm,
the composition of their planet, like the magnetic field protects even like the the shit that's just outside of their atmosphere, which
yeah,
is where they built this ship.
Mm-hmm. And they hadn't gone.
yeah,
They didn't have a. They don't have a moon. I mean, this is later. They don't have a moon, and et cetera. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how he explained that. Yeah, it just didn't come up.
Yeah, like I mean, like it would take like some pretty creative like minds for in our group to like come up with something that like
None of us
that
had a
we
sensory organ for.
yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't know what they didn't know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
yeah,
seemed a little far-fetched to me, but I'm willing to accept his, the atmosphere too thick explanation.
Yeah, no
I
uranium allowed.
I think for me the part that's a little questionable is like, hey, there's I don't know, like 30 plus elements on the periodic table are radioactive. This species is a master of the periodic table, or whatever you said earlier. They would have encountered radiation at least. And so I don't know, to not be familiar with what radiation is that's not believable. To not know that the sun produces radiation, or maybe that's believable if they had this really protective planet, but you should have known what radiation was.
How deep into the periodic table do you go until you start hitting those elements? Because maybe they're so close to their star that you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I think smaller stars have, they're more, they have like heavier
Well,
elements.
actually, no. Now that I think
So,
about it,
so
there were because I was thinking like, but they're so close to the star that there should be more solid materials and less gases because the sun is like
yeah,
blasting all that
I
away.
think when you're closer to the sun, you densify with like the more solid stuff. But
Yeah,
I don't remember. This is
yeah.
but maybe they're not as
To
close
here,
as
I'm
like
gonna
Mercury or something. What did you say?
yeah. Here are some here's a periodic table that all of the light blue are the radioactive elements. And xenon is pretty fucking close as far as on the table. Like, it's the XC number 54.
See, that's what I want is the explanation for xenon, since it's
We better get it, yeah.
I want that explanation. Like, surely he's explained everything else. So I want to know how a noble gas can be cool space material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
I guess. Well,
and then of
I'll
course
save
a
it for
lot of
later.
the radioactive ones I think are actually man-made. So that like further
Mm.
diminishes the number that they would potentially naturally run into.
Mm-hmm.
I do think
But I
it's.
don't remember how many or which ones.
I do think it's fair to say that that's a plot hole unless it's somehow explained later. It's like there's no radioactive elements at all, or
Yeah.
or does the radioactivity of stuff within the magnetic sphere
Like a
does
certain
it just get canceled
yeah.
out?
It does.
Yeah.
Well, it's explained in the next chapter, but basically the magnetic like atmosphere around their
Keeps it
planet
from coming in, but what if
prevents
it's
the
already
radiation.
in? So is it
They
just
just might not realize that it's the same thing.
Yeah, I was
Could
gonna
be.
say that. I mean, just because you could encounter, I mean, I don't know this, but correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, just because you encountered like radioactive materials on Earth, like what if we didn't bring like a Geiger counter into space? Like, how would we know that there's radiation in space if
sparkles?
if
You
our
see
atmosphere,
sparkles.
but like if our atmosphere was like theirs, like if there's
Yeah.
somehow the magnetic field around their planet that's so powerful that it stops any radiation from coming through, like unless they took some type of like I'm saying a Geiger counter into space, like how would they know that there was radiation in space if they weren't prepared for it, so maybe they just thought it was on their planet, or like if they had encountered radioactive materials, I don't know, maybe they're like, oh, maybe this is just on our planet, not in space. I don't know, is that wrong? I don't know.
I think,
Go ahead, Garrett.
and just no, I mean, I'm not trying to nitpick or anything. I mean, I think his reasoning
Yeah.
was fine enough. I mean, even just like, hey, they have an ability to detect the Petrova frequency. They can detect frequencies of light. Of course,
Mhm.
your thought is, well, how wide or narrow can waves of light be? Then you discover X-rays and gamma rays, highly radioactive, or causes
Mhm.
cell breakdown. I mean, there's
Maybe
just so many ways they would be exposed to this type of ailment.
it's
Yeah.
not like maybe they're not detecting the Petrova line though through the like their technology, their version of cameras and stuff. It has to be built around sound. So the wavelength is making
Yeah.
those little guys
A sound.
when they're letting the light out. They're going beep. It's just like little
Yeah, like
little
like a
astrophage
frequency
farts in
that we
space,
can't
and
hear.
they have like the tools to detect that, and that's how they see it, but they can't see it visually.
Yeah. It seems like, I mean, they've recorded other things. He clearly knows their cells were dying. He knows, on a macroscopic or microscopic level how things are
There,
affected somehow.
there is no sound in space. I just want to throw that out there. But again, I don't want to nitpick. I'm just like, hey, Andy Weir, I get it, but come
Yeah.
on, man.
I guess
Fair
that's
enough.
just like the crutch of the race. That's like what he
I-
decided.
Me, and this kind of goes with what he says in my chapter 15 too, is where I think he's just trying to set up, because when most of the time when we think of aliens, we think of them, oh, they're super duper advanced, they have all of this science that we couldn't even dream of. And I think he's maybe just trying to subvert those expectations by giving us an alien where their level of technology is similar or even less than ours. Because if he gave us an alien that was too advanced, well, then you just solve the problem. And,
Yeah.
why did Earth send those people out here?
He's done a
Basically,
good
he
job.
wanted to make Ryland do most of the work.
Yeah. I feel like he's done a good enough job at this point for like as far as like explaining the science and making it make sense to me that I'm going to trust him to like do that with whatever is going on with Xenon, whatever is going on with like them not understand what radiation is. I'm sure there's some sort of explanation later on in the book.
Yeah, this is just shit that he had to make up because he has to make something up.
Well,
Yeah.
here's some potential explanations. Do with them what you will.
Yeah.
There likely is radioactive material on Arid, but one they people near it might just be getting poisoned and not fully understand what was causing it, but also natural uranium isn't that strong, like radioactively is what what's Reddit's saying.
Yeah.
And then also potentially just the makeup of their bodies. Maybe, even if they don't have like DNA repair stuff, maybe just the metals and rocky whatever that they're made of is somewhat protective against like low levels of radiation from like irradiated minerals or something. Anyway, those are just some explanations of if there was radioactive material there, how they would not fully understand it enough to avoid radiation in space anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought it was a bit strange, but that's why I wanted to pose the question, because I was like,
Mhm.
a spacefaring species, regardless, if they have the capabilities to build a ship, that's one thing, but to not know the extent of the danger of space to go up there, that just seems like
Mhm.
too big of an
Oh,
oversight,
oh my God! What if Toaster was right? What if Rocky's lying about this
What?
and is actually space psychosis?
Oh God, no.
No, not Rocky. We trusted you.
Oh
What if
God.
Grace slowly starts turning into a rock spider?
Oh.
Oh my
Oh, God.
God.
Oh Jesus. Okay. Any other thoughts on chapter 13? All right.
Hmm?
We continue on chapter 14, pages 232 to 249. We start with a flashback to an important meeting. We're introduced to Dr. Leclerc, a climatologist known for accurate predictions. He tells everyone the Earth has 19 years until half the humans are dead. They brainstorm ideas on how to keep Earth warmer for longer, and Strat assigns Leclerc to come up with a plan to introduce a huge amount of greenhouse gas into the atmosphere. In the present, Ryland is concluding an explanation of radiation to Rocky. During the conversation, Ryland learned that Rocky's homeworld is a super Earth at 8.5 times the mass of Earth. It has double the gravity, and days are only 5.1 hours long. Due to its fast rotation, iron core, and proximity to a star, Eridani has a super strong magnetic field that deflects 100% of radiation. So Eridanians never learned about it. Rocky survived because his room was near the astrophage storage area, since he is an engineer. Ryland avoids telling Rocky the full truth of why he isn't going out of his way to protect himself from radiation. They briefly theorize about how Iridians and Earthlings may be cosmic cousins via panspermia. We flash back to the nuking of Antarctica. Oh my God. Antarctica. Good Lord. Dr. Leclerc plans to get more greenhouse gas fast. And to do this, he is going to nuke Antarctica to release the stored methane from ancient plant life. This could be done repeatedly as needed. Leclerc is a self-proclaimed hippie and cries when the nukes go off. In the present, Rocky and Ryland are talking biology. Rocky has mercury for blood. His skin and bones are various metal alloys. His nerves are inorganic silicates that transmit light pulses. His blood exists in an ambient state and a hot state. He doesn't breathe ammonia, but uses it to temperature regulate in a radiator fashion. Rocky does use oxygen, but is more self-contained. He has plant-like cells and animal-like cells. Rocky learns that Ryland can hear light, and it's the most important sense for humans. Rocky wants to see the human tech in Ryland's ship. he makes a sort of hamster ball and works on redoing the airlock for him to pass through. Ryland cleans up since he wasn't expecting guests. All right, Jesse, what is your question?
We'd already kind of talked about the legal stuff in the previous chapter, but I wanted to expand upon it further when she talks about how after all this is over, she foresees herself being put on trial for the damage that she's done. Do we think that that's something that would actually happen, or do we think that that's something that like should happen? Because she is doing a lot of stuff, but does the ends justify the means?
I don't think
I
she
I
should
mean,
think
go on
it's
trial.
more likely that somebody's just straight up gonna kill her. Like, she clearly has the backing of several major powers,
yeah.
but
She said that that
they could
power goes
always
away
change
after
their
the Hail
mind.
Mary.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I think rescinding the
but I
power
mean,
is enough, but I do think saying somebody's probably going to kill her probably correct. I mean, she's authorizing a lot of wild shit, nuking Antarctica and
Mhm.
the thing in the Sahara Desert. It's like she was trying to fix one problem, but maybe doing
Yeah.
damage in ways they won't appreciate till later, and she's probably going to get blamed. So I could see her being
The
assassinated at some
scapegoat.
point, yeah, because of it.
She's gonna be a martyr for the solutions she comes up with,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's just too much damaging being done in this, in the sake of the greater good,
Mhm.
for it to ever be forgiven by a lot of people.
Yeah. But she's right on, like, I feel like she's right on one aspect of, like, there's not the time, they don't have the time necessary to, like, go about this the, like, traditionally correct / moral way to make sure, like, all of these rules that are put in place for reason are followed, and making sure that, like you said, we're not creating a larger problem for later down the road. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question basically building off of Jesse's question, which is, do you think Earth will long term survive what they're having to do, like the Sahara modification, nuking, Antarctica? Like, these
If they
seem
can
pretty
control
problematic.
astrophage,
Yeah, true.
yeah.
True.
yeah, I
I
think that's
think
the
it's
biggest thing.
gonna be one of those, well, fewer people died than we thought, but that's
Mhm.
about as much as a victory as you're gonna get in this
Yeah.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
This
I think like
Oh, sorry. Good.
Oh, I was gonna say that this was actually the bit that made me go, okay, I know you have to make up science to make your story work, but this is getting a little too far fetched for me. Was with the nuking of
The
Antarctica thing
methane, of course.
and the Sahara thing a little bit. Like with the radiation, fine. I'll buy the super thick atmosphere story. I'm not an astrophysicist, but I'm just enough of an environmentalist that makes me go, you sure there's not a better way to
Anything
do
else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's just
Nature
get
of
like the
sci-fi.
material. Yeah, it's just kind of like it just comes with the territory. Like,
Yeah.
Would you have appreciated if he bred a bunch of cows to fart methane?
I was thinking that, but it took
Methane
us
farms.
so long to get where we are. With the greenhouse gas, it's like it would take something drastic to,
yeah,
suddenly
Yeah.
make
like
so much.
it kind
Yeah.
of reminds me of a criticism or critique of his work I heard once where like he writes like he's writing a movie. Which I
Yeah.
mean, I guess explains since they're turning this into a movie. Because I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
it does kind of sound like the kind of thing you do in a movie because you only have an hour and a half to set up your shit.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah.
you used to only have an hour and a half to set up all your shit.
Yeah.
Now
I
you
mean, you
break it
cut
up
out
into 4 different parts, and
all of the environmental explanations that you can see in a movie, and I'm sure this book would be a lot shorter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Did it surprise you guys that story progression has Rocky coming onto Ryland's ship?
I feel like that was
I
gonna happen.
I wanted to say that like I was wrong. I thought we would be going onto his ship, but yep. No,
That
he's
is
coming. He's coming over.
also what I thought, was that because he has all of the xenon and shit, that Rylan would be going over there.
Mhm.
But I'm like Ryland now. Fuck, why does he get to see an alien ship? I want to see an alien ship.
See an alien ship. Yeah.
Which I guess gets explained in the next chapter. The atmospheres of that ship and all of
Mhm.
that. It's just the pressure within the ship, not even the ammonia.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
He
guess.
could come up with a bullshit science answer to
Yeah.
have an area that's only one Earth.
A
Yeah.
Zenonite EVA suit.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it is easier for Rocky to go to a different environment just because it sounds like from the previous description with his plant cells and human cells that he's able to kind of make his own oxygen, and he does use oxygen, in a way similar to humans, like with respiration and stuff. And that the ammonia is, yeah, just the temperature regulation part. So he just as long as he has enough ammonia at a high enough pressure to move it across his radiator gills or whatever on his back, then that's mainly what he needs. Whereas the pressure would be very difficult, I
Immense.
think, for Ryland to cope with if he tried to
Yeah.
go. Yeah. Any other
All right.
thoughts? Chapter 14?
I have one last question. So they've kind of set us up with, ammonia being critical for Rocky's species, and that Rocky has that top part, his, gills, so to speak. Do you think Andy Weir is setting us up for a situation where Ryland saves Rocky
Oh my
by
god.
being urine
Yes,
has
that's what
ammonia?
I think's gonna happen. I think the book's gonna end with Ryland pissing
Oh
on
my god!
Rocky.
Fucking having a jellyfish.
And a robot
what?
filming it.
Honestly,
Yeah,
not the worst idea. I'm gonna be honest, not the worst idea. Like something crazy happens and Rocky's like
Mhm.
ammonia supplies compromise, and he just fucking gives him his piss and he just superheats it and it just
You know
does
what?
what
I've
it
heard
does.
enough. Bye, guys. We had a good run.
Be seeing you.
Peace.
Are you happy, Garine? Are you happy with what you've done?
Robot alien love triangle, that's fine. Pissing, golden showers, can't do it.
Can't do that shit.
What
I'm
if
out.
Is
I
nothing
have
Rocky's
sacred
standards.
Shame.
Thank
anymore?
you.
What if Rocky's last name was Kelly and he goes by R. Kelly? Oh my god.
Okay.
No.
That's his middle name is Kelly.
All right.
I hope you're happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is why you wanted us to read the book. Sorry. Go ahead.
Just for that moment.
The truth comes out.
Any other thoughts on chapter 14?
Yeah, the robot, she's a thought, that's all.
Damn. All right.
I too would be a sobbing mess if I had to explode Antarctica.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah. Just the
Yeah.
responsibility of, what's the long-term consequence? Like, yeah, we're all okay and alive in this moment today, but what is the consequence for
Yeah, what about
generations
what
to
happens
come?
next?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the problem is like they're looking for immediate solutions that are going to have probably some pretty dramatic long-term effects to this Earth within this novel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty bad, I'm assuming.
Yeah. All right. We carry on to chapter
Indeed.
15, pages 250 to 262. Rocky comes into Ryland's ship using a magnetic tool to navigate around. Ryland also carries Rocky around to show him everything. Rocky weighs about 300 pounds. Rocky seems highly social and is sad for the both of them that they have had to sleep alone. Rocky decides Ryland's ship has much better science and that he will move in and bring his xenonite. Then they can activate the centrifuge and use the laboratory equipment when the ships are no longer connected. We flash back to the introduction of Dr. LeMay, the scientist who figured out coma resistance genes and has been working on the robot nanny technology. Strat and Ryland give blood for gene screening. Back in the present, Ryland is reminiscing about his college girlfriend, Linda, moving in. She brought a lot of stuff. Rocky is bringing much more. After some organizing, it's time to figure out their next step. Rocky's astrophage collection device was broken, and he couldn't fix it, so they will use Ryland's. Rocky had tried desperately to make a replacement, but to no avail. He says, fail, fail, fail. I am repair Iridian. I am not science Iridian. Smart, smart, smart science Iridians died. Rocky is relieved Ryland is a science human. Ryland learns that Rocky has been alone for 46 Earth years and has a lifespan of 689 years on average. Rocky is currently 291. All right, Marvelous. What question?
First of all, I thought it was super sad that it cuts off before Ryland tells him that humans live to be about 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's probably so
second
sad
of
for
all-
Rocky.
It's like you
Yeah.
only have this many and you're spending how much asleep?
Second of all, for some reason, like, despite the fact this is my chapter, I guess I just glazed over the 40s. Well, I think I glazed over him being alone for 46 years. I think
Yeah.
that's how long the trip took in my brain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love the
makes sense.
comparison to his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny. So what do you think his this is I guess a fun question. What do you think his little like corridors look like? You know, his little like
I just imagined
his little
like
hamster cages he's
yeah,
made
literally
himself.
Like
just like
that.
just like a hamster wheel, like a little hamster cage in tunnels.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like big tubes all around the ship running along the walls.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what I imagined as well.
I'm still kind of surprised that Ryland's science is better than their science, but I guess too at the same time, if he's a repair Iridian and not a science one, so maybe
Yeah.
their science is better, but if he doesn't know how to use it, then it doesn't
Mm.
Doesn't really
matter.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
Ryland's not gonna know what the hell, you
to do
know,
with it. Yeah.
because it's probably
Yeah.
gonna be completely different from what he's used to.
Yeah, he even explains. He's like, "Oh, how does it work? The Zenonite glue stuff he uses." He's like, "I don't know. I just use."
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So,
it gives very much I just work here, guy. My
Mhm.
guy.
yeah, I just work here. Yeah, the same way that he doesn't know how to use laptops. He explains to him.
Mhm.
So, or
Yeah.
doesn't know how they work.
How they
Just
work.
that
Yeah.
that they do work.
Yeah.
You know that thought exercise where it's like, what great inventions are you going to like? You get thrown back in time 500 years. What great inventions are you going to invent early? And
You're
people are
like,
like,
I
oh,
none
I'm
of
gonna,
them.
and people keep going, oh, I'm gonna teach them, I'm gonna do electricity, and then you're just like,
How?
So
Okay,
how are
go
you gonna
on.
do it? Yeah, and then they just don't have
Like,
the answer to that.
Like you go back in time and you're just like, hey, do you guys know what a wheel is? And they're like, yeah, we do.
Yeah. You mean this thing? Yeah.
Like, fuck.
Have you tried?
Why is Yeah.
Like the best I can do is, hey, have you tried washing your hands? Which
Yep.
we already know how
Sure.
that went the first time, so I don't know that's gonna
Witchcraft?
work
Yes.
400 years earlier.
Yeah.
You got to bring back a soldering iron with you. You got to bring back a bunch of circuit boards and
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you
couple
get accused of
blueprints.
witchcraft and yeah.
Yeah, burned at the stake.
Yep.
Mhm.
Hey.
Yeah, that was probably all in the Library of Alexandria anyway. But that burned down, so we don't know.
Yeah. Don't remind me.
Books in the library were actually copies, so in theory, the books there all existed somewhere else.
Potentially, not all of it though.
Anyways.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
so there was a line in this chapter that I thought was just kind of, I don't know, it's like the contrast and prove Dr. Larkin right. And, it's like, he's talking about how everything's not working, device malfunction, device broke, fell off ship. He's like, many things break. My people make ship in a hurry. No time to make sure all things work good. And that was kind of the dilemma. I was like, oh, do we try to make new equipment in 0G or use what's reliable and create artificial gravity? And that's like humans ended up doing, and it probably saved them in that sense.
Yeah.
Because it seems like at this point they're just pretty much abandoning Rocky's ship and just like gonna work only on the Hail
Yeah.
Mary.
Because my other question was, how the hell are they going to get back to Rocky's? Or is
Yeah,
Rocky?
for the
And then I was like, wait a
fuel.
second. The
Yeah, I
ship
think he's abandoning
is going
ship.
to- Well,
Yeah.
then too. Plus, it's space, so the ship should actually still be there when they get back.
Yeah.
Because that's how
fair.
space works.
Yeah.
I just forgot. And
No, those air currents are gonna push it into Tau Ceti.
it's like science. How does it work? I don't know. Apparently.
How do magnets work?
Don't even ask me. I have no idea.
So
Fuck if I know.
So I have a question. What do you guys think evolutionarily the reason for Rocky's species living so long is, right? Because traditionally, at least on Earth, lifespans are, mediated in a large part by how long it takes you to reproduce, see that the products of your reproduction grow to be efficient, self-efficient, and those things all help determine how long of a life is required. So I don't know. I was like, ooh, does it make sense evolutionarily that they live so long? Do you guys have any ideas?
He's part turtle, part plant, two of the longest living things.
Yeah. Well, he's also part rock too.
And rocks are the longest living.
Because we do know here on Earth, there's a couple of species, like there's like this squid or an octopus or something where, like, in theory, it could regenerate forever, or like even with like lobsters.
Yeah, lobsters
Could live forever. The only thing that stops them is that they get too big and they can't like.
Their characters
their
get
systems
so thick that they can't break out of it. Then
And barnacles.
Yeah.
Once they're too big, they can't move. Barnacles grow all over them, and they can't fend for themselves.
Yeah.
Trees can live for a
like-
long time.
And trees, yes.
Yeah.
So,
I
like,
think
there's
trees,
a little bit of, like, Earth justification for that. And I think once you add in the biology of being part rock,
Yeah.
for all we know, what takes them out is the natural progression of weathering. But there's also just a lot about a species we don't know. Like, maybe they only have, like, one kid every, like, 30 years or something, and maybe it
True.
takes that kid 100 years to grow up or something,
Yeah. Because I would assume, by the ratio of his age to how long they live, he's probably around the same age as Rylan. Kind of, in their species. 291.
Oh yeah, like he's like a
max age
third of the
of
way through his life expectancy.
through his life cycle.
Yeah, something like
And Rylan's like, what, 30 something?
probably 30, 40 something, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they're about the same age from their, respective places. So
Okay. Any other thoughts, questions? Chapter 15.
nope.
All right. Go to the last chapter. Chapter 16. Pages 263, 276. Rylan learns Rocky is 800 pounds on his planet. Rocky is setting out to make xenonite zones of habitation for himself throughout the ship and tells Ryland it will take 4 to 5 days. Ryland is rushed and tells Rocky that in 14 years, most humans will be dead. Meanwhile, Rocky has over 70 years. Rocky says they will work now and get Ryland back to Earth. Ryland explains he isn't going back and that this is a suicide mission. Rocky says he can give Ryland more fuel so that he can get back to Earth, and Ryland is shocked and cries with relief. In a flashback, Ryland is meeting the main crew and backup crew for the ship. He is supposed to teach the sciencey guys everything he knows. He also finds out that he tested positive for the coma resistance genes, but Strat didn't tell him. Back in the present, 3 days have passed, and Ryland is still all smiles since he might not die now. We learn that Rocky had thoroughly surveyed the solar system and determined the planet involved in Tau Ceti's Petrova line. They set a course for said planet. They decided to name the planet. Rocky names it after his mate, and Ryland translate that to be Adrian.
I was like, really?
Really?
Rocky goes to eat, and Ryland wants to watch. Rocky is hesitant and says it's gross, but Ryland insists. Let me get my cigar for this. All right. Okay. Rocky starts by shredding his food. He then hobbles over to a special container and takes a fat, gooey gray dump into it from the underside of his carapace. Next, he lays on his back near the shredded food with his butt mouth open and ready. He carefully places each piece of food into his digestive cavern. He lays there, spread eagle, as his mouth butt slowly sphincters shut. Rocky mumbles sleep as he drifts off. Ryland quickly writes down Step 1, subject defecates from mouth in his list of how Rocky eats. All right, Gary, what's your question?
I'm so
Well-
glad I was muted for that because wow,
Holy shit. 10 out
that
of
was
10.
so fucking funny.
I have 2 questions. Question 1 is anyone else think Adrian's a dumb name for a planet?
Oh,
And
dude.
then
Yeah. Is Adrian
I wouldn't
a-
even name a
Planet
planet
Adrian.
Adrian. Just saying.
Is that like a reference to something earlier in the book that I forgot?
No,
It's just
I don't think that
So
name
that's
is
just, it's
mentioned.
just a name.
the name of
It's
Okay.
just
his
a name.
mate, basically, is Ryland has
Yeah.
decided Rocky's mate's name is
So,
Adrian.
in the movie Rocky, his girlfriend
think of
wife
that.
is
Oh.
Adrian.
That
Oh,
makes
no.
sense. I didn't even,
Adrian.
and he was saying "Yo Adrian" a lot, by the way. I noticed, or "Yo Rocky." Sorry, "Yo Rocky" a lot.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
So,
that makes
yeah.
sense. That makes sense.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
and then the real question, how do you think Ryland gets picked for the mission?
I feel like, and I have a question related to that too. Mine was, do you think Ryland's coma resistance genes are going to be extra special? That's my theory. He's got extra special
got
coma
the
resistance or
Extra
something.
strong ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally think Strat and the other American people are going to get killed. I think they're setting up
Oh,
Strat
fuck.
and her, unempathetic actions to cause some, someone to get butt hurt because their family farm got destroyed by a hurricane. And yeah, I don't know. That's my thought. I don't know what you
Damn.
guys.
I mean, they're living on a Chinese air freighter, are they not?
Yeah.
Well, she's traveling around all the time,
I guess. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I feel like that could totally happen. Now I'm anxious.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Damn
Yeah,
it.
some soldier on the ship who has family who was
Oh,
killed
God.
by some natural disaster.
Damn it, Caroline.
turns
Can't you just leave us alone today?
Oh, it's
With your theories?
and sends her into the stratosphere.
Oh, God.
Puts on sunglasses.
Oh my god.
I have a really important question. Do you guys think Rocky's gonna ask to watch Ryland shit? And will the nanny robot be mad about it?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
and yes.
Yes.
100%.
So,
I
yeah,
feel like
all
it's
of that.
only. Unfortunately, I do because it's only fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Rocky will watch, and then an arm will slowly descend from the robot, and they'll fist bump, and
Damn.
then there'll be a camera recording the entire time.
Oh god. Or maybe
Choose
the
one.
robot will be just out of reach, just like watching from the corner, and the robot's just like,
Not being a creeper or anything.
Ryland, you are a slut. Like that.
Rocky made a
Yeah,
Zenonite cup chair in the corner,
Oh
Oh
god.
my
so he's
god.
just gonna watch
Oh
from the cup
Jesus.
chair.
The robot nanny's just like imprisoned where she can't get through.
Just tied him up with a bunch of cables.
Oh god.
One rock, one man, one
Oh,
cup.
God.
Damn.
Oh god.
Now, I just
Oh, man.
I'm curious, how does iridian fellatio happen? If they shit where they eat and they eat where they shit, is everything anal? I'm
Is
confused.
it a French
I feel
kiss
like
or a rim
I
job?
feel
I mean, come on.
I feel like they have to lay eggs, right? That's the only
Yeah.
answer. That's the
Actually,
only
Aren't
yes,
they
that is-
Didn't it say they're hermaphrodites too?
Yeah,
they're
they are
Yeah.
hermaphrodites. Yeah.
hermaphrodites, and
Yep.
they lay 2 eggs. Then
Yeah.
one of the eggs absorbs the other, and then the egg hatches in a year.
Yeah.
But we don't know how long it takes that egg to like grow up or how many they lay.
Uh-huh.
Incubation
And they mate for
periods
life,
and shit.
apparently,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like
which is
geese.
very sweet.
Sounds.
Still sad though, because he accepts that his mate probably found another mate while he's been gone.
Because
Yeah.
which does lend like some insight into like I don't know their lifespans because I imagine like
Yeah.
he's over what 240 or something.
He's like
Yeah.
200 something. 90
Yeah.
something maybe.
But like he's been gone for 46 years.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least
Yeah.
he's been like at the very if not longer because of like
Hmm.
light year time shit. Like
They might assume they're dead too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 46 years even is a significant amount of time for us, but it seems like it's also a significant amount of time for them.
And who's to say that I mean, they seem to rely heavily on having or some type of companion watching them
Yeah.
and protecting them.
Yeah.
So probably through
That is
necessity,
so sad, man.
his mate would
Yeah.
have to find another.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that whenever Rocky was explaining how long everything was, he got annoyed when Rylan kept asking if that was Earth measurements. And he's like, "Yeah, you're bad at math. I'm using Earth measurements, idiot."
I'm bad at math, you idiot. You bet.
That was pretty funny. I
That was
chuckled
really
and,
good.
and teared up a few times during this set of
Mhm.
chapters.
I do
Yeah.
like the Earth
It was-
units joke.
It's
Mhm.
Yeah.
nice.
Yep.
I want to know what happens to Dubois because
Ooh.
because the other two people, because that's the crew that ultimately got selected. So what happened to him that made Ryland take his place?
Have to take his place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the backup, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Calling in now him and either the Chinese captain or the Russian lady got involved.
Damn.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe it was foreshadowing when Strat was like, I don't like for, whatever male-female dynamics. You preferred them all to be like the same, gender.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that
Mm-hmm.
plays
Yeah,
in
but the woman was still with him, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
There
what
was-
I'm like. What if the person that Rylan was taking a place of was involved with one of the other two? But
true.
then-
True. Or he had some type of health complication prior to leaving.
Oh, I didn't think
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
So
Because he was
there's
older,
two-
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 separate teams, and Ryland is supposed to teach both of their jack of all trades. So maybe it's, they keep talking about these crazy weather events. Maybe a crazy weather event happens that takes both of them out.
Yeah, it's
Ooh,
possible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it not something would have to happen not only to like the first pick but also the second pick before
Hmm.
like they looked over at Ryland.
Yeah.
What
like,
if-
well, sorry, bud, here you go.
What if Rylan just gives them an F and then he's the
And then
default
he's
person?
picked now
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
He's a teacher. He'd do that.
it.
Yeah, it's true. Teachers are assholes.
Or not asshole, but felt bad for sending them to their death.
Oh shit.
Possible.
Oh, like he decides that Earth needs their minds more than his or something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
That's a possibility.
What if he doesn't remember yet, but he killed them?
Oh god.
What if he is the psychopath?
That is a chance. There's a chance that he killed literally everyone and then fled Earth and then killed the other coma people. That
That's
is
definitely like a sci-fi plot.
Good nap.
Just saying.
Yep.
But he doesn't exude a main antagonist energy quite yet.
Well, he
So-
also still has amnesia, so like
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
exactly.
might be locked away somewhere.
Oh god. The
Rocky's
psychosis
the actual main
dormant.
character of this story.
Why do we think
Like some
Strat
sleeper
didn't
agent.
tell him?
Yeah. So I
Oh,
think
Mhm.
I think she's got plans for him. I think his
Voodoo
his
plans.
coma resistance genes were like special in some way, and
Yeah.
that she's wanting to send him, but is like waiting till later or
to
something.
say something. Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe because she just didn't think it mattered. I don't know.
Maybe
I-
she got too attached.
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
I think
know.
she likes him to a certain degree. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't
Even if
want
she won't
him
to
to
admit it.
sacrifice himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the first one, technically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't be where they are if he didn't discover the things he discovered.
Yep.
Maybe he does something that's like maybe it's not actually bad, but it looks bad. So like him having to go is his punishment. Dun dun dun.
Damn.
Mm, possible.
Though, would you want to send
Although
someone
really,
as a
because
punishment
Yeah.
and trust this, like trust all of humanity
No,
to a person
I
that you're
would
trying
not.
to punish? Yeah.
But humans are both
Human be dumb.
incredibly smart and incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the previous chapters we just read, they talked about how if they fucked up with the astrophage, they would destroy Earth.
Yeah.
If it
Yeah.
got out or they messed up,
Yeah.
that's it.
If they burn too much of it too quickly, it's just like, well, don't need to worry about sending
Had a good run.
Yep. The spaceship, because we're all dead.
Does anyone have any theories on how planet Adrian is contributing to the resistance of Tau Ceti? Like, cause that's what they're there to figure out. Something's happening somewhere. Anybody have any theories on what could be going on here? What's going on with that planet? What's going on with Tau Ceti?
Probably some element X type of situation that it's like some undiscovered element that counteracts, their use of the star or something like that.
Mhm.
Counteracts their energy absorption.
Maybe maybe
guess.
it doesn't actually have like CO2 or something,
maybe.
or it doesn't have a lot of it, or there's something else on the planet or in the
Maybe
atmosphere
it's
that's
just-
sending a signal that mimics it.
Maybe it's somehow able to regenerate.
The sun?
Like something like some sort of like solar quote unquote wind, whatever. I know there's no wind in space.
Yeah.
But
Something's
is, like,
killing it?
feeding- Yeah, or feeding like
predator.
a continual thing to the sun so it doesn't it doesn't die. Like
Or maybe Tau Ceti maybe that's the origin point, and it just happened so long ago, it's already reached its 10% dimness, so it doesn't go any further. But we don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I
I w-
mean, but with this kind of book, I don't think that's really likely to be the case.
I wonder if there's a mutation, like an enzyme mutation, where it's like 1,000-fold less efficient and something along those lines.
Like the astrophages themselves have some kind of illness there. Like
Mhm.
they're sick with something.
I mean, everything has something above them in the food chain, right? Maybe there's something that eats astrophage there.
Oh shit.
Consumes it.
Surely, somewhere. Although, of
What-
course, we don't know what their origin is yet either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever's happening, it's like the Petrova line is still there and still being maintained. So like the
I think-
astrophage aren't
yeah.
totally being eliminated or dying or something. They're just not as efficient for some reason.
Yeah.
So I think it has like I think maybe the theory that was mentioned earlier about like Tau Ceti being the origin point or being infected so long ago that it's already hit that equilibrium that they talked about being 10% less bright.
Mhm.
I hope that's not it because I don't know how the fuck they're gonna
Yeah.
like fix the
Yeah.
planet. But yeah, but that
See, that's kind of why
yeah.
I don't think it'll be the thing, because Andy Weir does not seem to be the type of guy to give like a despair ending,
Yeah,
and that would be
yeah.
a despair ending. So
Yeah. Yeah, somebody mentioned like his book like reads like kind of like a movie as far as like what you can kind of expect, and most science fiction movies that are like blockbuster hits don't usually end with everybody like
Unless it's
everybody
Blade
dead.
Runner.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Unless we're talking about cyberpunk and Blade Runner
you
and
might
shit,
get a
like,
heroic
but-
sacrifice here and there, but
Yeah,
usually people make it out.
yeah.
Do you
So
think if Rocky makes it home, and let's pretend his mate hasn't found anybody new, do you
Mhm.
think he's gonna name his next kid after him?
Grace.
Aw.
And that's how
Yeah.
Grace lives on because he actually still dies.
Oh
Dun
god.
dun dun.
That could be that bittersweet type of
That's
ending.
deep.
Yeah, I want Rocky to come home with him, and
Damn.
And immediately
So-
get shot out of coming out of
oh
the ship.
god,
I have a question for you guys. Just some foreshadowing. They
Mhm.
mentioned Rocky's ship is falling apart, hastily built. They just planted this false hope that, oh, we have plenty of fuel. Ryland, you can go home.
Mhm.
Ryland has these beetles that he can send home and send whatever cure or information that Earth needs. Do you think Rocky's ship is fucked and Ryland has to make a choice to save Rocky's species and take Rocky home in his own ship?
Damn.
That's what I'm
Ooh.
wondering.
ooh, and then
That's
he
a
lives
good-
out his life as a pet for the for the
Oh my
Iridians.
I think he'll end up giving. I think he'll do something like 3 beetles go to Earth, 2 beetles go to Iridian.
But how would they translate? Like that's human technology. They don't have the technology for computers and stuff like that.
I
Oh,
mean,
you
he's
s-
got all of
5
his Xenonite
terabytes.
stuff.
Maybe Ryland just puts in a copy of his like Excel sheet or whatever the hell he's using, his translator.
What
Yep.
what if because Rocky has more time to work with here. What if they go to Earth, okay? Rocky lives out the rest of Ryland's life with him, all right?
They become
Then
best buds.
then
Best Rocky
there will
buds.
be whatever technology, whatever blah 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 and then from Earth Rocky can just go back to Arid and maybe the timeline would still be okay and like work out. Well,
Maybe.
actually, because it's like Earth's. I feel like it's in Rocky's best interest to go and spend some time on Earth because there's a lot of
You
technology
can bring
there
so much, yeah.
that he could take back and be like the hero of
Yeah.
his
Literal
He's-
planet.
of his
He's
entire
got like
race.
70 years. Let's see. Earth is 12 years. Iridian, I
Away.
think, is also 12-ish, 12 to 15.
Got plenty of time.
So we got like maybe 40 years for him to like,
I mean,
Yeah.
there could also be, he's an engineer. He can make stuff on the fly. He could ex machina the hell out of this story and just make something that ends up fixing everything,
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there's been a lot of that, like, aha moment type situations in this book. So who knows if something like that could happen too through the sci-fi knowledge that they have.
I want Rocky to go home with them. I don't want
I want
I
them
don't
to
want to
be-
say goodbye to Rocky, and I know logistically,
Yep.
we probably they're gonna have to
Alright,
help
ooh.
their respective planets. I'm not sure exactly what that's
What
gonna
if-
look like.
What
Mhm.
if Rocky dies and Ryland has to make the decision to go to Rocky's world to save them?
Oh fuck! Well, how's
Mm.
I guess he could communicate with them.
Exactly. So he
Damn.
sends the beetles to Earth, and he goes to save Rocky's planet.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
What if a late message gets to the Hail Mary from Earth that says it's all doomed and that Earth is already done, and then there's nothing to go back to on Earth?
We nuked
Huh.
Well,
Antarctica one
they
too
all
many
know
times.
Ryland's going to die anyway, so they probably wouldn't bother.
Possibly.
I'm a little surprised that Rocky's species didn't send another ship over 46 years. I'm just throwing that out there.
True. But given how long they live, that's probably like nothing to them.
Or maybe they don't know exactly what's out there, so maybe they just assume there's something big and terrible in space that just killed everybody and it's just not possible.
I don't know. Your species is about to end from a cataclysm. Oh, it's been 10 years. Let's build another ship, guys.
Yeah, perhaps.
Maybe he's been sending messages back because we know his detector broke, but surely the other tools on the ship kind of work. Maybe he was like, everybody died, frowny face.
Oh god.
Although I don't know how
Possibly.
you would do that if they hear through sound. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have light impulse-based nervous systems. Okay, they
Mhm.
they
That's
they
a
can deal with
difference.
light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows what's possible on a planet full of spider geodudes?
Mhm.
I gotta say, I love his design. Like that
Mm-hmm.
is it's
His little
just
jazz hands.
weird enough to be like, yep, that is definitely an alien, but it's not so far out of the way that it's gives you the heebie-jeebies.
and it's
Yeah.
not a cop out either where it's like, oh, this is a human, but it's blue.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a human, but they have tails. Like, yeah,
They still got
I love
boobs
the
that
whole-
though.
effect.
this is a
Mm,
this is a centaur, but he's blue and doesn't have a mouth. Oh, no, I fucking miss Animorphs.
Oh god.
The covers weirded me out too much. I just couldn't.
Jontron just did a
Understandable.
video on them on the Animorphs show.
It's so good. I can send. I think I still have like an AnyFlip PDF of all of them that doesn't include the covers. So if you ever wanted to read it,
I remember looking at them at the Scholastic book fairs and just being like, "What the fuck is this book about?"
I went, what the fuck? I want
Yeah,
all of them.
for
There's
lots of
40. There's
things.
54 of them. Fuck yeah.
Jesus, I didn't even know there was that many.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I think she mentioned something about a lot of them having to be ghost written because of like issues.
Mm.
But I mean, she did like the outlining, planning stuff.
Okay.
But I have heard so many things about that series over the year. I kind of don't want to read it just to just for the mystery of it. Like,
To maintain the legend and lore of it.
yes.
Yeah. All right. I'll be right back. I gotta say goodnight to Sam.
All right.
I'll be right back.
Well, any other anybody want to talk about the moments, that there was a moment that kind of got to them emotionally? I was pleasantly surprised that happened because it hadn't happened with any of the other books that we had been
Yeah.
reading so far.
That cut where Ryland doesn't tell him that humans live 80 years, like the fact that the
Yeah.
chapter cut there, so you can kind of like imagine. This is like, oh, oh, oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that they live so much of a shorter lifespan compared to him.
Ryland is Rocky's dog.
Oh
Oh,
God.
literally, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when Rocky offered up the extra fuel, and then I think when we found out that Rocky had been alone for 46 years,
It's so sad.
especially as like a highly social animal.
Creature. Yeah.
Uh,
That
like
got
if
me.
Maple was alone for 46
oh
years.
God. Not Maple.
Makes me wonder, like, even okay, Ryland makes it out, and the world is saved and he goes home and nobody
Ooh.
expects him to. But how is he going to get home? I don't think he can go back into a coma. So he has to. So
He's
is he
gonna
going to
be
be able
able,
to go the
yeah.
3 years without going crazy?
That's not
Well, he's got
horrible
Rocky to talk to, so
compared
it's
to
fine.
yeah, as long as
If he goes
is
back with
Rocky
Well,
okay.
yeah,
Rocky,
but they go over in the earlier chapters how when you're in such tight quarters like that, no matter
Oh,
how friendly
fuck.
you are, you eventually start trying to kill
Oh
each
God,
other.
no,
Yeah.
not Rocky.
Not Rocky. This is where we find out this book turns into a psychological horror.
Oh Jesus. Mm.
Yeah, them no longer being alone like really got me.
Mm-hmm. Also, when like Rocky in one of the past chapters when Rocky was talking about like that they all were dead and like his speaking chords dropped an octave like to show his
Yeah.
sadness. Ah, God.
Yep.
That's really sad.
I love that they're getting along. Like it could have
Mhm.
like I part of me was like a little worried that like cultural norms and shit might have gotten in the way, like, you know, which I've seen like the classic trope of like misunderstanding that could easily been avoided. Like I'm glad that they didn't, like he hasn't gone in that way and like actually have them work together and like actually enjoy each other's company is like I like that. Yeah.
Did anyone else laugh out loud at the first fist clenching scene?
That was funny. That was good.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. Like I'm using Earth numbers.
I just imagine that like Arthur meme, when he's got like his
Yep.
clenched fist or something. That was
Yeah.
pretty funny.
How many are we finishing the book this week?
We have
No.
2
Weeks, I
more.
think.
So we have
Okay,
2 more.
alright.
So next week is week 4, and that's
Okay.
pages 277 to 362, and
Mhm.
we will complete chapter 21 for the next meeting, and then we've got one
On
more.
the 12th.
Yes,
Put us like
whatever.
60, 70% way part of the way through the book, which means we're gonna be cutting off when everything's getting hot, when they're getting ready to go into the climax.
Yep.
And then we have to wait a week.
We have to wait a week. Yeah. The reason I'm asking is just to give a heads up. I don't think I will be able to join on the 12th.
Okay.
I'm gonna be heading back to Louisville for
Oh.
like a week or so for my mother's wedding. So
Oh yes.
Oh, well, congratulations to her.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
Depending
Okay.
on if I get fired or not, I might be going
Oh
back to
Jesus.
Oh
God.
God.
No.
Crossing my fingers for you,
actually, my friend Kathleen, I don't think you guys ever met her because she got put through. She went to a different school, but she's invited me to come stay with her up in New York, and that's a really tempting option.
Ha!
Oh,
If
yeah.
you get fired, you're just gonna couch surf in New York for a bit.
Well, I mean,
Not the
she
worst
lives
thing.
on a horse farm, so I'd have to take care of ponies, which is
Oh,
There are
not
worse
the worst thing.
things.
I know,
Just
right?
don't get
How
bit.
awful.
What? Oh no.
Not even, and she has Icelandic horses too, which they're
Yeah.
the chillest horse. Like,
They're so cute.
you know how every time you go to a farm, there's like, be careful around that horse because they'll just bite your face off.
Yep. Not this
Those don't
time.
exist on her farm. Like, you
That's
can
good.
go into any of her pastures and in any of her stalls, and like the horses they just love you. I mean, like,
Beautiful.
obviously you shouldn't be like an idiot or an asshole to them, but like if you are normal and you know how horses work, like you can literally just walk up to one of them and hug them and they'll probably start grooming you.
Aw.
I'll post I have some pictures of them. I'll post.
Oh yes.
Yes. Let us see the horse. The horse, of course.
All right. Well, any other final thoughts, comments, whatever on the reading as a whole?
I'm loving this book. It's been a
Mhm.
delight.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
This book is great.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Okay. Well, GB, etc.
TGB? Yeah.
Maybe next
So
time.
and you'll
TGB.
post how far we're supposed to read this time.
It should be in the schedule, but that is for next week, week 4, pages 277 to 362. So that means we'll
Chapter
complete chapter
21.
21. Yes.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Yes. Okay.
All right.